We were rolling earlier and I just felt like I couldn't move, right? It's kind of a humbling experience to know that you can't move if the other person really didn't want you to move, right?
Oh, for sure.
It's just fascinating. When people ask, what belt are you? It takes me a while to think about it because I don't think about it that way, right? I'm just enjoying my journey. There's always those times in training where you do a technique and it clicked, right? Mm-hmm. Whatever it is. You're like, it worked, mm-hmm. right? And then you're like, oh my gosh, what else can work, right? Like, this stuff works. Now, I guess a few years ago, I schedule my life around jiu-jitsu, right? As opposed to putting jiu-jitsu into my life, right? As a veteran, I really enjoy being around kind of the brotherhood and sisterhood in here. We miss that once we get out, right? So you have the exercise part of it, you have the self-defense part of it, but you have the mental workout part of it. And I think that's important for everybody.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for the training.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the tap out.
Yeah. So I guess one of the things I wanted to go over today was, I guess, when you first became aware of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. Back in the 90s when UFC 1 first came out, I think that's where I first saw a glimpse of what it is. But it didn't resonate. I just thought as another. Back then, you can only do one martial art, right?
Yeah.
It was forbidden to do 2 different martial arts. So you saw it. Then I enlisted in the Marine Corps and it kind of went away. We did combat stuff in there. And then when I got out, I remember going to a gym somewhere and they were rolling. I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And then I should have taken classes, right? So I can fast forward 20-something years later and be sitting in opposite seats, right?
For sure.
But why I took it now, was it 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I guess,
mm-hmm.
right? Something like that. I guess 5 years ago, we first touched on a little bit. We were kind of working out of garages and stuff like that.
We won't say the exact name.
Yeah. But I realized, like, wow, like, this is fascinatingly interesting. It could be scary, but only scary because, like, there's so many different things to do. And we were rolling earlier, and I just felt like, I couldn't move, right? It's kind of a humbling experience to know that you can't move if the other person really didn't want you to move, right?
Oh, for sure.
It's just fascinating. But, I guess it took me to be an adult to finally say, this is what I need to just sign up. It's always the hardest part, just signing up. Whether you're going to the gym, or you're going to go for a run, right? It's just that first step is always kind of the hard part because you don't know. You're like, do I want to commit my life to doing this? What if it's a waste of time? And it's not. But you don't know that, right? I think that's why people are hesitant sometimes to start something new. So.
Well, and you said that first step is the hardest part, right? And it's really true in anything, right?
Yeah, totally. We were just talking earlier that we're always a white belt, right?
Yeah.
If you get a new promotion, well, you're a white belt again, right?
Oh,
so now
for
you
sure.
have to learn new management skills or new whatever. New job, new school, new parent, right? You're a white belt to being the parent. New uncle, whatever it is, but it's humbling. If you stick to it, not that it becomes easier in the sense that you just learn what to do. But I always notice that the same guys you start with, they're getting better too, right? So sometimes you're like, am I getting better? But everybody's progressing.
Yeah.
And sometimes some people take more classes than others. Some have more time, and our ability to train is just depending on like our life. You work, you have school, and all that. But a part of it, once I become a millionaire, then I can just do this 5-6 hours a day, because it's I enjoy it. I enjoy that it's something new every day. And even when I'm learning something, there's different variations of that technique, right? How to get into it from different positions. And
Well, and it's funny you say that because you can probably relate to this, but when you started, maybe you're not thinking about it exactly at that point in time, but you do kind of naturally view the black belt as the destination. Right? But then from the inside, when you get to black belt, I mean, I've been a black belt for 6 years now, and it feels like I'm still a brand new black belt. And you realize that that's when the actual learning phase really starts, because you've kind of gotten through all the belts, you've learned how to overcome some of these more fundamental things, and now you realize that you're just trying to solve maybe more complex problems, because now you're trying to help a bunch of other people, or you're trying to help kids, or you're trying to mentor people. And even technically, I go hang around Shanji for a little bit, and he shows me something from side control, and I think man, I've been doing that totally wrong this whole time.
Yeah.
So I do like that it unlocks that.
It's the same thing, like, I mean, I'm a blue belt, but when people ask what belt are you, it takes me a while to think about it because I don't think about it that way, right? I'm just enjoying my journey, and where I'm at is where I'm at, right? I'm not like, oh, I gotta go hurry up and get the next stripe. I want to take my time, actually, right? So I can get better of where I'm at, right? Where I'm supposed to be, the skill set that I'm supposed to be at that moment. I'm trying to be the best I can for that, and then when I'm ready to,
that's the Army, right?
be all you can be.
Yeah.
In the Army.
So, but you had prior martial arts experience before starting jiu-jitsu, right?
Yeah, I mean, I did Taekwondo for many years. I don't know, 8 years growing up, and
Can you contrast your experience between the two at all?
the style is different, right? Obviously,
Yeah.
the kicking part of it, and I do love kicking. And I guess it's good for guys who
I
are
felt
long
that
legs.
today.
Yeah, you did. I did. Actually, that's where I learned to sweep originally. Was the Karate Kid, right?
Yeah.
Sweep the leg, Johnny. It is different. I think the camaraderie is a little different, right?
Camaraderie.
in of the jiu-jitsu gym, and also maybe I was just younger. I didn't have that bond, I guess, with everybody in the class. But here, you can have fun, like joke around, and be seriously having fun at the same time, right?
Yeah.
People can get you in a bad position and kind of help you out while you're in a bad position. Even like some things that you'll even tell me, oh, this is what you did wrong, right? While we're doing it. So that's helpful, right?
Yeah.
And the realism of jiu-jitsu, if we were to get in a fight, most stuff end up on the floor, right? And contrary to popular belief, professional Steve at one time was young Steve, right?
Yeah.
And,
for sure.
You think about sometimes, often you end up on the ground, right? But besides that, I think the discipline out of it is it's very humbling.
Well, and it's interesting because my fiance, her mom wrote her dissertation on the effects of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm going to misquote it, but on mental health or something like that.
Yeah.
And there's something about the way that we, one, learn through play, and two, the way that we grow up, especially if you have brothers, you naturally gravitate towards wrestling. You don't even know anything, but you start trying to pin each other down and roll around, and maybe you do it with your dad. And over time, as we go into the professional world and enter that aspect of our lives, we lose that.
Right.
All of a sudden, we don't play with our parents anymore. We don't play with our brothers and sisters anymore. Now we're just kind of cut off.
Yeah.
So I think jiu-jitsu creates a different part of your life where my dad turns 73 this year, and my mom, and we can both train.
Sure.
But we can't really do Taekwondo together.
Correct.
Right?
Right. No, it's true. It's true. What's the Canadian psychologist? He says something like that too about, I forget his name.
Jordan Peterson?
Yeah. He was talking about playing. We learned through playing also. I remember that. And I saved it because he talks about even in the animal world, right? They play as a form of like practicing fighting and all that stuff. And you're right. Even with my sisters, even now, right? Almost 50, we still wrestle or try to take them down to the ground, right? For fun, right?
Oh, yeah.
But we do. We learn and play. And it teaches us control, right? Because if you're not, it's just like this, right? I mean, you can easily destroy me, but you learn how.
Not that easily.
Not that easily. But you learn through playing, like how to control your strength, your movements, your techniques, and all that stuff. I think that's why a lot of veterans like this world of jiu-jitsu, the sport, the training, because we miss that aggression in a controlled manner, right?
Yeah.
It's a very physical outlet for like some inner peace, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, and you mentioned physical. It's also, you can do jiu-jitsu with, let's say, Shanji Hibero, right? And he can really, really beat you badly in jiu-jitsu. He can also do it in a way where you actually enjoy it.
Yeah.
In some level. You go, oh, that was really hard, I was challenged, but you could tell they were gentle, they were careful. I don't see you being able to achieve that boxing with Floyd Mayweather.
Right.
I think if you did that, you would think, I never want to do that ever again in my life.
It's a good point. And we look at it here, right? We have some like 10, 12, 13-year-olds that train with the adults sometimes, right? And we learn to control our movements, our strength, and what we do. But some of them, like the other day, this 11-year-old, he caught me on something. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm like 3 times bigger than him, right?
Yeah. It's
But
crazy,
it just
isn't
teaches you, like, it can work on anyone, right? Any size.
For sure.
And especially if you make a mistake and they catch it, then, lesson learned on my part, right? Lesson learned, don't do that again,
So you kind of heard of jiu-jitsu in the 90s,
Yeah.
and then we met up later on, circa 2020-ish.
Yeah.
And then you started to become aware. So you decided, obviously, to take the step and try it. At what point did things change for you where maybe you went from being an outsider viewing in to, oh, I'm a part of the culture now?
Yeah. I think like after a year of being a white belt, there's always those times in training where you do a technique and it clicked, right? Whatever it is. It could be a foot sweep or whatever. And you're like, it worked, right? And then you're like, oh my gosh, what else can work, right? Like, this stuff works. And you have a bunch of those moments, I guess I'm going on 3-4 years now, of stuff working. And you're like, oh man, what else can work, right? And you just keep practicing and practicing. Earlier, you were asking, like, what was I working on? I'm working on a few things. But once those clicked, then it's like, oh man, then I want to practice on something else, right? The good thing and bad thing about jiu-jitsu is there's like a billion moves, right? Like, how do you learn everything? But I guess that's part of the journey, right? Just until you're 200, you just keep going, right? But when something clicks, it's a rewarding experience because you can't make it click for me. I have to do the work, right? You can teach me, but I have to want to learn, and I have to take it in and do the work and just apply it, right, for it to click. And so
It's funny because I was just writing I haven't really titled it yet, but like a field manual for your first jiu-jitsu class.
Oh.
And one of the things that we were talking about is the importance of humility. Is really all you need is humility. Because anyone that's humble, they're willing to fail, they're willing to learn, they're willing to grow, they're willing to ask questions. And earlier on, you kind of mentioned that after about a year, you realize, oh, I can do this. Which, for context, you've done martial arts before,
Right.
You're a veteran, you're obviously a super fit guy. For you to take about a year to go, oh, I can do this.
Yeah.
I imagine what most people that are not fit, not in shape, weren't in the military, didn't have any sort of previous training, how daunting this can seem.
Yeah.
But it really comes down to, well, none of that stuff matters as long as you have the humility piece. Right.
And I was looking at a video from early on when I was, a few months in. We did an in-house tournament. And I look at myself then, I'm like, what was I doing, right? Like, but you have to know in your mind, I guess even in your heart, that like, we're gonna look goofy in the beginning, right? Because we don't know what we're doing, right? It's just like when we're walking, we look funny. We see little kids walking, they tumble and they fall, and we laugh and it's cute. It's the same thing as an adult, right? We're doing warm-up, and we're trying to figure out what's he talking about? Like, what does he want me to do? And we look funny doing it.
Yeah.
But you learn it, right? And if you can get past the humility of we look silly in the beginning, because we all do, then you can get past it, right? But we look silly.
I look silly today when you hit a foot sweep on me.
Yeah. But even at work, we look silly when we first start a new job, right?
Yeah.
Whether you're climbing a telephone pole or you're a nurse at a hospital, you look silly doing whatever you're doing until you get the flow, right? Whether you're typing or whatever it is that you're doing, right? We all look silly in the beginning, but that's because we're learning what it is that we're trying to do.
Yeah, for sure. And then I guess now that you've been doing it for some time, how do you think your perspective has changed?
Now, I guess a few years ago, I schedule my life around jiu-jitsu, right? As opposed to putting jiu-jitsu into my life, right? So that's why I come in the mornings, right? So I know I get that in there, unless I have to travel, but I got to get that training in the morning. Because at night, I may not be able to.
Yeah.
And I don't want to miss that.
That's so true. That's so interesting. Well, and it's funny because what you can probably do is also speak towards the transformation that happens to all of us who are in it long enough. Because it's the same thing, right? I eat for jiu-jitsu. I lift weights for jiu-jitsu. I practice mobility for jiu-jitsu.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Kendall will disagree, but I try to sleep for jiu-jitsu. But my whole life is designed for not performance in the sense of, oh, I need to beat everyone or I need to do the best. I'm still in my competitive phase, so there's a part of that. But I think it's more, what's the example I'm trying to set for the Jasons of the world, some of those 11-year-old kids that are coming up. How am I performing for them And if my life's not built around that, I feel like I'm not going to do a good job.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Yeah, I've got my nephews in them back in Jersey here, and I can't wait to see them as adults. I want them to stick around in jiu-jitsu, and I think they will because they enjoy it. But you're right. I want to be able to compete with them, right, and train with them. And jiu-jitsu does that. You're right. Like you were saying about you and your dad, you can train with them, and I want to be able to do that with them as they get older. So, yeah, it'll be fun.
So what would you tell your white belt self with, I guess, kind of the knowledge and experience you have now?
Yeah, take it all in. I would say keep practicing it. Come as often as you can. And don't be afraid to ask the other higher belts for help, because that's one
great.
thing that I noticed that even now, even blue belts that are just regular, blue belts, no stripes, or if they have a technique that I don't know, I'm like, hey man, like how do, can we practice that? Can we roll that? Ask for help. It's very humbling to be able to ask for help. I think as adults we try to think that we know everything.
Oh, for sure.
And even as a councilman, right? That's my day, one of my day jobs. I ask for help often because I don't know everything. Right? So I need guidance on certain things, and it's the same thing with jiu-jitsu. Obviously, I don't know everything, but there's things that I really enjoy doing at my skill set that I want to improve on before I move on to another skill set. So
yeah, well, and that's so interesting because you almost have a different perception if you're a new leader or in a leadership position where you feel that you're supposed to know everything, right? So then you think that by you acting like you know everything, people are going to have more confidence in you. But it's really the reverse that I've found. And actually, when you're able to show vulnerability and let people see that, hey, I'm wrong sometimes. Oh, that was my bad. Hey, I don't know. Let's talk to someone who knows. It actually increases their level of trust in you.
Yeah, absolutely. In my professional life and jiu-jitsu, I'm always asking somebody for help. So I can be a better leader, right? Because nobody knows everything. From the president on down to the mayors, right? We don't know everything. And that's why there's experts in those fields that can kind of help you. In the end, you have to make a decision, right? And that's part of being a leader is making the decision. I can ask you for help, but it's up to me to make that decision, right? To do whatever it is you taught me and implement it. But I've got to first seek the knowledge, right? Before I can try to implement it.
That's great. Okay, last question. Why would you tell someone they should do jiu-jitsu?
Many reasons. If you're a veteran, you might have a different reason than, let's say, like a professional real estate person, right? So veterans.
What if you're both?
Oh yeah. that's funny. Yeah, commercial real estate. As a veteran, I really enjoy being around kind of the brotherhood and sisterhood in here. We miss that once we get out, right? You're kind of like going through boot camp again as a white belt, right? Working your way up again.
Hopefully, we're a little nicer.
A little nicer, in a way, But it all goes back to being humble, right? It really does go back to being humble and allowing yourself to be the new guy again and going through that process. But it's kind of a flow, right? You're not using strength, you're using mental strength, right? And you're using body movement and all that. But it's a great escape for veterans. I think every veteran that comes in here usually stays in this world because of what they get out of it, right? Not just the self-defense portion of it, but just the movement of your body. Like moving your body, that feels good in general, right? A lot of us don't do that. We sit behind desks or, we're just stuff with the kids. But moving your body, we're lacking that as adults nowadays too. And rolling, flipping, learning how to fall, right? Learning how to do stuff from your back or on top. Just moving your body feels good. Just that alone feels good. It gets your body moving for the day. So you have the exercise part of it, you have the self-defense part of it, but you have the mental workout part of it. And I think that's important for everybody. And even like women, the women in here, there's some tough chicks in here that come to this class, right? And I learn a lot from them also. They get a lot out of it, right? And I think that's important because a lot of them are in real estate. Sometimes they're showing properties on their own. You want to have a skill set to be able to help you get away from anything if you had to, but even the mental capability to not freeze in danger, right? And I think that's important too, even for men, right? Sometimes men freeze
for sure
when danger. People panic because they haven't prepared for something, right? That's why people panic. Whatever it is, right? You get startled.
The anxiety.
Right. You don't know how to react. And so that's why people panic. And I think this helps you at least overcome fear in a way. Or give you the self-confidence to know, I can get away or I can defend myself if I had to.
Yeah, no, that's really great. And I think one thing that we add, because we do look at the self-defense, the fitness element, and we look at also the emotional and the moral for what we consider a TFI black belt, right? Because if you learn all these skills and you're really fit and you have good self-defense, but you don't understand the importance of relationships and having good relationships or being a good role model and influencing people in a positive way, or maybe the moral side where you don't feel that it's really important for you to give back.
Right.
So when you balance all those things, you'll hear the word community be thrown a lot. But we feel that the more TFI black belts or black belts with that way of thinking where, yes, the self-defense and physical fitness is important, but at some point in time, I'm going to be 50 or 60 or 70, and that's going to be a lot less important. But then my impact would be that there's other black belts who think it's important to help others, it's important to be kind, and it's important to treat people properly. And if you have more of those people walking around in the grocery store, I think it's going to be a better place.
Oh, by far. And just, you're a better human, right? And I think that's what we miss nowadays too, is people being good to each other. And I know here we have a few couples that train with each other. And
you're looking at one.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. And I think that's a cool thing, especially for whether they're dating or married. I think I'm assuming it helps bring them a little closer together, and they can play while learning a new skill set at the same time, right? I think that's a lot of fun. And it's not like the movies, right? I know we were talking about this earlier, where you go in and you just start hitting on each other and flipping each other, and that's all movie stuff, right? That's not the way. That's not the way real life is.
You mean one self-defense class won't teach me how
to
take on 5 people?
Yeah. You're not flipping people through walls or anything like that. So I think people have that mentality that, oh, if I go in there, I'm going to get beat up and pounced on. And that's not it at all. I mean, the truth is, everybody here wants you to stay. So they want you to feel comfortable in coming back the next day, right, for another training class. There's friendly competition between guys and girls in here later on, right, as you get skill sets. Then, we joke around like, I'm not going to let you tap me out today, right? Or you banter each other, just like you would your brother and sister, right? Like, it's the same exact way. But in the beginning, nobody here says, look at that white belt. I'm going to show them what I can do. And that mentality causes that white belt to not want to come back.
For sure.
I went somewhere once, way before here. I took like one class, and like, that's exactly how I felt. I'm like, oh, all right, I'm a new guy. And I'm like, it wasn't for me. Because, I don't know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Of course you're going to be able to destroy me like that. But, we want somebody who just comes in to come in day 2 and day 3 and then 4 and 5. Because we know the benefit that they'll get out of it.
Yeah, and I think as humans, we all enjoy seeing progress, not only in ourselves, right? For me, it's cool to see the students progress. It's cool to see Kyle win his first tournament, for example. So it's so interesting what you said, too, because a lot of people, some of your friends you were talking about earlier, their view is, well, I don't want to show up and just get beat up a bunch. But then for the black belt or the more experienced belts, we're happy to help a white belt, but our goal every day is not to go beat up a bunch of white belts, right? It's not, they don't have jiu-jitsu, so you don't get to have that healthy competition you were talking about. It's now you're just teaching them, right? Which is something different. And you want to teach them so they can progress as quickly as possible, but you also know how much time that takes.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you've been doing this 20-something years, right?
Close.
Right around
18,
there, yeah. So putting somebody on day 1 versus 20 years, it's not the same. In any field, right? Whether it's at the office or here on the mat or at the gym, right? Somebody who's been lifting for 20 years versus somebody who just walked in. Yeah. And we all remember when we first walked into a regular weight gym, you look around, you're like, what do I do?
Yeah.
Right? You just pick up a weight, and that's the same thing. If you don't get good guidance then, that person may not go back to the gym, right? Because they don't want to look silly doing something. Right?
That's such an important point. I want to touch on it because when, we go to a public gym somewhere and you obviously know what you're doing. I know I feel confident in what I'm doing. We go in, we do our workout, we leave, perfectly fine. But you see people that they don't know anything, right? They've never been taught to use a machine. They struggle with their diet, and they come into this place that's full of people who are fit, and no one is there welcoming them. Right? They're just, it's kind of, hey, figure it out.
Figure it out, right.
Which is not, I think, the place that beginners should start, and I think that's why we try to make the first interaction here, and throughout their entire time here as welcoming as possible.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like what you said, they're actually, the students and the instructors do want to help you and see you grow because you kind of added another friend to your friend list that you can beat up on the weekends.
And same thing at the gym. Like, you want people to stick around at the gym because you make friends at the gym, where you're like, oh, this. And when you see them progressing, like your buddies at the gym, you're like, man, you can lift a little bit more. Like, all right, right? You get excited for them because you know the work that it takes to get to where they're at, right? And it's the same thing here at jiu-jitsu. When you see your buddies like, wow, that's a good move you did, right? You know it wasn't like one day they just did it.
Yeah.
It was a bunch of like mistakes, trial and error on people, and then it clicked. And you're like, yeah, that feels good. So you want to see the other people in your academy succeed and do good. Just because, you know, as a human, you want your friends to do well, but it's just that bond that we have here. Likewise, they want you to succeed too. Like, they want you to tap them out. They're not going to let you, but they want you to be able to get in that position and tap them out.
Oh, for sure.
So,
yeah, we all love challenge.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks, Sensei.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you.